through. So I'm hoping we get to see that from Tornado Rocks as we are live into this one. And Ollie, what do you make of these lineups? Anything standing out to you? Anything that's really kind of hinting towards this play style we're going to be seeing?
Well, two T1 10E5s. That's, you know, good pick on the defense side. A very good all-round tank. Utopia sporting those fantastic team camos, playing a very light lineup with Object 140s, STBs, T54 lightweight as well. Really good to see that. Obviously, it was the most picked in 754. And it looks like they're just going to filter their way down that Magic Forest towards the 2 cap, where Tornado Rocks are ready and waiting. They've got a bat chat there. They've got the RU and the Object 140 there down south as well. The T110's peeking over the hill, so not well prepared. But Diador, I mean, if he gets spotted, that'll be bad news for Tornado.
Yeah, he is kind of... I'm almost recalling another player playing this position before, and it really did hinder Kasner. I'm trying to recall who it was, but still. That aside, he will be able to get the spots out if they do make their play towards that 2 cap, and we are seeing them taking quite an aggressive stance towards taking over the southeastern side here, putting 3 tanks down there already, and looking like they want to go further. Already Wilk is going to be taking the position as far as he can do, but as you noted, there are players in that southern side quite far down holding that push. Yeah,
they are just sitting there. I mean, okay, there's no artillery there from Tornado, so the engagement still has to happen, the spots still have to happen. But it looks like, you know, Utopia are somewhat aware of where Tornado are, because we keep making those blind shots. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Diador is in that bat chat there, okay, he might be a bit vulnerable, but it basically makes that cap impossible. I'm not sure exactly what equipment Diador has. I didn't have a chance to look. I think he might have coated optics or binos to give him that 10 to 25%. But Shuku, 800 damage, 1,000 damage right in the middle of the map, gets caught out.
Really not good, and I don't think he's getting away from this one either. If he did, a bit of a miracle, but Diador's going to make real light work of him. A very clean pickup to kick off Tornado Rocks' defense, but Diador now is in a bit of a spot himself, down to around half HP. He's got to be cautious. They are making quite the aggressive performance here, taking peeks. Maybe he shouldn't be, as now Wilk has a bit of a lined-up shot here. Diador going to push forward, try and find a touch more cover behind that bush, but he's got to be extremely careful at this point. He is so low.
I'm not sure if Diador was actually spotted when he shot, or he shot and then got spotted, because that's pretty careless. I mean, he's basically a sitting duck now. He will go down at some point in time, surely. But Utopia have lost a bat chat, and you know, that's the thing about Muravanki. Yeah, the corridors in the left side and the right side, but in the middle, it's like, you know, the old mantra, who dares wins. And sometimes it works out, and in that case, Shuku, it unfortunately didn't work out, and he got taken down by Positive and Vorsin, basically. So it looks like T54, TVP are starting to make their way through that Magic Forest again. Object 140 up north. I mean, Tornado Rocks kind of have all the bases covered. The only thing is, if Utopia starts capping again, Diador is not in that clutch position where he can just peek out and get the spots off. So I think, you know, you'll see Utopia put McMoney back in the cap and just do it all over again.
Rinse and repeat here. Now, last time, of course, I don't think Shocky was taken down as a direct result of the cap being started and the kind of movement off the back of it, but it certainly was a byproduct that they will not want to be repeating this time again. 90 seconds is a long cap with just 1 minute, but it does begin to force the hand of Tornado Rocks to start positioning themselves into areas where they might have to get the recap on. And Money just about evading the shots going out from Vorsin right now, who's just laying them down just slightly too far to the left. And you can see no one's actually eyeing this point up at the moment. A really nice little spot from Money. I don't think anyone's be able to spot him up too quickly, as we did know already. Diador was in such a bad spot, and Forbidden already going to be pushing forward a little bit closer. Might be able to catch out Diador here, but he is going to be keeping himself relatively safe to a small degree, but Forbidden's going to be wondering where he's getting just lit up from at this point.
Yeah, Diador is in behind a bush, so yes, okay, Forbidden can easily kill him, but Batchat's a small tank. It's relatively well camoed, and Forbidden just simply can't find him. So the cap is still going on. I mean, 50... about, let's say, a minute left on the cap. So at the end of the day, Tornado Rocks need to make a move. Of course, you know, Diador, he's basically a one-shot as well. He's kind of expendable because the Shuku already fell. So if Forbidden can find him, that's great, but below average damage by far. 320 is the average on that 140.
Yeah, a little bit interesting to see that taking so long, but Forbidden does eventually pick it up on 2 shots coming through. The cap is still underway, bear in mind, guys, 14 seconds on that, as now he does have some support. As one tank to just brush through the cap itself, but piece by piece you're seeing Tornado Rocks starting to maneuver themselves into slightly more advanced positions as they're looking to hinder that cap from getting underway, and Lucikill is just going to go straight in there. This is insane stuff. Going to try to take the shot towards Money, but trades out, and Wilk will eventually take him down. Now the cap has been hampered by this point, but there's only 5 tanks standing for Tornado Rocks.
Yeah, they've lost quite a lot. McMoney, though, he might fall any second now. I don't think he's spotted anymore, so he should be able to scamper out safe. Desha, no, Diabel did a great job against, I think that was the Annihilator behind in that Object 140. So, yeah, it's going well for Utopia.
They're keeping the numbers up here. I'm really quite impressed. Now, Forbidden's kind of in the predicament that Heaper Diador in earlier. He's down to a 1-shot. He's been spotted, but he's being a bit of a nuisance, and that's the best he can hope for here, as FC Dynamo can't really breach the corner, as Desha had his back. Really good cover coming through in the end. And Utopia starting to run away. HP's in their favor, tanks as well, and the cap once again being started up.
Yeah, they just continue, as you mentioned, rinse and repeat. Let's be honest here. I mean, Tornado Rocks are going forwards, Utopia are dealing with what Tornado Rocks are throwing at them, and then they're just doing it all over again, and eventually Tornado Rocks is going to start feeling the effects of that attrition and end up losing this match potentially. Of course, it's still in pretty close proximity in terms of hit points. I mean, at 1,000, 1,500. The Armageddon, a 1-shot on the STB, kind of on his own. And Volsek also receiving quite a lot from the front, of course, at TVP, only a 310 penetration with heat. Does struggle to go through the front of that T110.
Lovely positioning coming out from Utopia, denying the vast majority of quite common peaks. Now Positive has been caught up. He's going to be into the clutches of Utopia here, as already Wilk's going to find another, and that's left 3 alive for Tornado Rocks, and they're dwindling in numbers. And Utopia still with the cap underway, still with tanks alive. This is almost looking impossible, I've got to say. I don't know what is going on here, but 46 seconds remaining. And Armageddon looking for a chance and opportunity, but he went so low. He was the issue to begin with. We thought, oh, actually, he could be having a problem on this one. But Vorsten's joined him now, and oh, there's the resurgence. So 2 tanks killed back to back, picking it up, denying the clean cap. Now the Alienator needs to get away relatively clean here to keep his team with a chance. It's going to be a slim one, but they're certainly not giving up just yet.
No, they're not. They are still trying to fight, and Tornado Rock's such a good team. They can hold on, but I think the Annihilator will fall to Mucka here, as that team captain will pick him up, and leaving only Vorsig in the T110 and the Armageddon there in the STB1 to try and pick off 4 tanks of Utopia, all pretty healthy, 2, 3, 4 shots. It's going to be a mountain of a task to do, and probably a little bit impossible, as Utopia will just start getting their way out that magic forest and pushing him for the kill. Yeah,
and Armageddon knows his days are numbered now. He's going to have Wilk just chase him down, waiting for the perfect shot. He doesn't need to rush it. He takes it on the fly, and now Vorsten is just the last man standing. He knows that it's a matter of time in this one. 4 tanks closing in, and Wilk's going to close it down. A big performance from him, and a brilliant start for Utopia.
Yeah, perfect start to them. I mean, they won the attack inside of Moravanka. It's definitely not easy. I think Moravanka, along with Ruenberg and Himmelsdorf in the old days, was definitely one of the more defensive maps. So. Fantastic work for them. I mean, great stuff that they have McMoney going forwards in that cap, putting pressure on straight away, forcing Tornado to go forwards. I mean, Diador, I'm not sure exactly what happened there. He either shot and got spotted, which would be a mistake, and if if you just got spotted anyway and just got the kill, that's fair enough to him. But yeah, he went down pretty low. That allowed Forbidden just to go in, and yeah, I felt like that's just a rinse and repeat situation for Utopia.
It wasn't. And to be fair, Tornado Rocks just played into their hands every single time. Just every single peak, it was looking like Tornado wanted to make. The crossfire was waiting from Utopia. This is a beginning that you don't often see, especially for some of the likes of Utopia. No offense to them. They are a very well-rounded team, but Tornado Rocks individually normally don't make that many errors and get picked up that easily. But nevertheless, we are seeing Utopia with the first point to their name. So maybe we could get a bit of a repeat of the last matchup.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this could be the day of surprises. We always seem to have 1 or 2 of them a match in a season. So, yeah, I mean, first round of the attack, as I said, Utopia are a really good team. There was no real individual mistakes there. They made the right decisions. Tornado Rocks just kind of threw themselves at them. And, yeah, went out really well. You could see Wicked in the STB, just 4.7k. That's almost unheard of. Fantastic work, and Desha, you saw some great work from him as well in that T50, the TVP. And there's basically no one there from Tornado at all.
No one really to have anything to write home about. No big damage coming in from them. No one breaking the 2K marker, really, which is relatively uncommon. It's something that I'm not used to seeing, and a little surprised that we didn't see a little more, if I'm honest. You know, that when you've got such big players in this lineup, you expect a lot, and you can look at the bottom there. The Annihilators down there, Diodor. You know, these guys. FC Dynamo was an outstanding member of previous teams who are in the WGLEU. Yeah, they were huge. You know, these guys were the kings of this, of just doing just insane damage sometimes, and not the start they'd want. And maybe this is the question again: how much practice have these guys put in over the break? It does give opportunity for teams who, let's say, during the start of the season, weren't so great, but they're like, okay, well, you know, maybe we can find some time to practice and look over our mistakes during that downtime, and maybe we can come back and be stronger. And it looks like a couple of teams are already doing that.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they are using that downtime to try and get back into, you know, where they should be. And it's been a while since we've had an exclusively Polish team at a finals. I mean, so long. Back from the glory days of Evil Panda Squad, for instance, who were just absolute destroyer of worlds, and yeah, it's such a big shame that they don't play anymore. But since then, considering how many Polish teams we have, they just haven't been performing up to par.
And it's surprising considering how big the fan base is as well. You'd think some of these teams would really knuckle down, but a couple struggling just to kind of check all the boxes. But it does seem as though the teams are prepared for that second half coming up now. Just excuse me, if you've just tuned in, we are still going to be seeing the second half of this map coming through. The first half was won out rather surprisingly by Utopia up against Tornado Rocks. But then again, Synergy did just beat Wombats on tank, so, you know, nothing's impossible in the WGLEU so far after the comeback into the season. Now, what is this?
Mouse! I saw a mouse on Mines on Sunday from, was it Priest, the team that's fighting Na'Vi? And it didn't work out.
I was about to say, like, did it work?
No, it didn't work. It was the last one alive, to be fair, but yeah,
that's not
doesn't really say much.
So what is the intention here? Talk me through what this could be utilized for.
Well, I mean, it's basically a small house, or a big house actually.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I went to Gubinka in just outside of Moscow, the biggest tank museum in the world, and it is truly insane how big that thing is. I mean, like, it was always, even a small AMX 1390, which I saw there as well, I was like, it's a small tank in the world of tanks. Turns out it's actually massive. So yeah, when you consider how big the mouse is, it's just going to be, you know, a great defensive piece. It can sit in a position. You have to shoot so many times to kill it, even if you can penetrate those flat sides. And, you know, if a player really knows how to play the mouse, it is actually pretty hard to penetrate them, because they'll angle the turret, they'll angle the armor, so they don't give them that flat side, which makes it a lot easier to penetrate, of course.
So, Mooka, what have you got with the mouse? The MM combo, or M&M is what I'm now going to call him. I'm very excited to say that.
It's the only time you've ever said M&M in a broadcast. Pretty
much. So Tornado Rocks are on the attack this time. So the time limit is against them, and they have to do what we saw Utopia pulling off the last time. Of course, if they did want that eastern side, but it does seem a bit of a slower approach, and Diodor picking up the artillery piece into this, maybe looking to try and weaken the opponents as best he can, and maybe try and make the most to be able to do any damage towards that mouse, but it's certainly going to be easy. Positive, though, will be spotted and a back out of there. Doesn't want to outstay his welcome at this point. Taking down a couple of trees en route, but still.
Positive. Positive. It's a Russian way of saying it. His name was Positive with a V last season. It's just decided to make us say it in the Russian way. Positive. But I mean, yeah, let's be honest here. Diodor, if he finds Muka, that's going to be a big pain for Muka. I mean, 1,850 damage that M40 can do, and it will do, like, let's say between 400 and 800 to the mouse, depending where it hits it. So it would be a few shots, and of course the mouse has the lowest camo value in the game.
It is a house, as you noted.
It's quite hard to actually hide a house, you know. To be fair.
You can see them trying to find out where that mouse is placed currently. They're all probing to try and get some information right now. Uzikel is relatively far forward. He's actually on his own to some degree. Of course, the crossfire behind him will be able to help to some degree. But I'm still curious how they're going to put that mouse into play, and then on the adverse side, how Tornado Rocks are going to have to deal with it. Yeah,
I mean, Tornado seem to be spread out through the whole map. Basically, got the Lucy Kel there in the IS-4 in the middle. They got the M40 back, of course. Object 140s in C1, which is a great position, by the way, even in random battles. Object 140 up north just to provide some support. And yeah, I think that IS-4 is just going to be trying to get proxy spots. Positive is roaming around in the background in the bat chat. And it seems to me like Tornado just starting to prod a little bit into where Utopia could be vulnerable, and it could be up north, to be honest, down south even. Because obviously with that mouse and the T110 combo, it's going to be really hard to get that.
Speaking of that combo already, we're going to see Bishu suffering under the hands of the artillery coming out to play. Dido landing one as well, and the complemented shell to follow off the back of it. Not going to leave him in any good stead, down to 280 HP, but still, it's a very slow approach from Tornado Rocks, who are known for their aggression and being relatively calm, cool, and collected by this point. I'm wondering where they intend to make the final throws of this matchup come into play. But in the eastern front as well, Positive still searching around, so fluid in that bat chat, just looking for any opportunity he can. But Money's tucked himself away in the bush in the 1390. Not quite the house that the mouse is, but still. Certainly not be able to withstand an entire game from this sort of spot. Imagine Positive's going to check that bush pretty darn soon, and Daisha going to deny the clean peek on that. Positive burning alive, and that is going to hurt. He is not happy about this one. Again, that's 2 times on this map.
Yeah, I mean, with these high penetration shells, they just go straight through and they can find the engine very easily, or the gas tanks. And yeah, I mean, this is the thing. You have to gamble. Like, do you want to use that that plus 10% consumable, whatever nation it is, Coca-Cola, for instance, or do you want to use the automatic fire extinguisher? And a lot of the teams, because they got obviously 100% crew skills from firefighting, they say, no, we don't really need the fire extinguisher. But still, I think firefighting is possibly the weakest skill in the whole game, because you could see there, Positive still lost like 500 hit points from the fire, even though he's got 100% crew skill on it. So, that auto fire extinguisher is still, a good call if you can use it.
Certainly might have to become more and more common at this rate if it keeps up. But looking at this one, Positive still going to put himself into a bit of a corner here, waiting to see what he can achieve. As looking for options, they're still not finding much here. This is a very slow start coming from Tornado Rocks. I'm actually surprised. I'd be curious what their overall average attacking time was, win or lose the round. They've been normally a little more certain, a little more sure, a little bit more kind of almost cocky, I guess you could say, to some degree. But a little bit of a splash damage going to come in towards Desha there. Doesn't completely connect, but still enough to do a little bit of work, reminding that he is not totally safe on the other side of that hill and keep them in check. But Utopia still sitting relatively well. That mouse obviously bolstering the HP numbers, but they're relatively safe with 4 minutes and 20 seconds left. Yeah,
I think the mouse actually got hit by the artillery for like 252 hit points. So that really didn't do much. But yeah, I mean, Utopia are definitely holding fast. I mean, yeah, okay, Tornado Rocks are pretty far ahead in terms of hit points when you consider that mouse. But Positive is perma-spotted. He can't really go forwards because of McMoney. So I'm a little bit surprised that, for instance, they haven't blind shot you where McMoney is. I mean, it's pretty obvious that there must be a tank there, but there is a little bit of a push. You can see the artillery has connected into the side of Wicked, the highest damage dealer from the previous round. Lucikel has started the, I should just call him Lucic these days, started the cap. Vorsic in behind, but of course with that mouse there, it would be a very hard job to complete this cap.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. You're going to see what they can achieve here on the retake, possibly coming out from Utopia as well, and how they intend to do so. But so far, you did note, at least, that Tornado Rocks did kind of infiltrate the map relatively well. They had themselves situated throughout it, but there we go. Finally, Positive does go down. It was a long time in the making, if I'm completely honest. But with all tanks remaining, Utopia are keeping numbers alive. They're letting that cap go quite some time, but the mouse going to be sent packing with 2 shells going towards it, not making much damage, but reminding him that their eyes are definitely trained on this.
Yeah, the artillery also missed there. So, I mean, this is going to be the play from Tornado Rocks. It's either going to work or it's just going to go disastrously wrong. And as I said, Dido is spotted, and that's going to make it a lot harder here for Utopia, for Tornado Rocks to actually take down that mouse.
Yeah, it really, really will. And the resets are going to start falling into place. The STBs are going to be moving their way up that one line. No one can really hinder them. As you noted, that 1390 already hunting down Diodor, and it's going to be McMoney in charge of that one. And you can see damage going to start flooding in towards this. He's going to have one more shell to make. He does it on the fly. It doesn't connect. McMoney saves a little bit more time then coming through to allow him to work on this cap. Muka going to peek in for the shot. No, he's baiting it out. Wilk's going to be the one to do it. He goes around the corner. 8 seconds remaining. He's going to make this count. And there we go. Reset again comes in. Not too much damage, though, to fall off the back. A very tentative retake here. But the Armageddon caught out in no man's land.
Not sure exactly why that second T110 went forward, because that was the one with all the capping points for Sick, and he got reset. But I mean, at the end of the day, Muka can just push over the top of that hill, use the momentum down the hill, and just ram those T110s to death. But great little exchanges here for Utopia in the middle. They're taking control of this very crucial area.
Yeah, McMoney still going to be hindered to help the rest of his team at this point, being held by the Armageddon, but he does still have 2 shells to make in that 1390. And he's going to have the shot on it. He does get 1, but a lot more damage coming in. As I think that was Vorsin possibly helping out the Armageddon here, but the time is still ticking, and the Armageddon wins out in the trade. But there we go, Desha shuts him down, bringing it back relatively even, looking at the HP, but still, Utopia do have the numbers still standing, but Tornado Rocks are still working on that cap.
Yeah, they're still going to be sitting here, but they are getting reset from every single angle now as Utopia took control of that middle and they held it.
So much to do still at this point for Utopia, but it's looking more and more likely, and fires are burning again 2 times in 1 map is unreal. And there's the mouse coming into play, still sitting on 1.8k HP. It's unreal. Now 2 tanks left for Tornado Rocks, are left to just watch.
Yeah, I mean, game over now. Utopia taking 2 rounds here on Muravanka, and they haven't really played it that much. They've only played, well, they've played 6 times this season. It's, I think, their 3rd most picked map, and they've won, well, 66% of the time, and now about 85% of the time, 80% of the time. So great stuff from them. Tornado really getting taken to school, and you got to say this: Muravanka is a map that slows you down.
Yes.
And that's where, you know, Tornado don't seem to be really performing this season when they get slowed down.
Now, FC Dynamo can get a couple of cleanup kills here, but he certainly cannot turn this game around. Mooka in the mouse doing exactly what was required. And this could be another upset in the making here. 2 rounds back-to-back on the very first map is a perfect beginning for any Utopia fans. And there is the shutdown. They will get those 2 rounds on Muravanka, something I did not expect to be saying. And then again, we saw a brilliant upset in the first game. And I'm wondering if we're going to get it in the second now.
Yeah, I'm seriously wondering. I mean, okay, so 768, you only play 2 rounds per map, so some teams just, you know, get 2 rounds and then end up losing on the rest of them.
Yeah, 5-2.
Like we saw, to be honest, in the previous matchup, where at the beginning Wombats did well on Mines, and then Cliff, they got at least around there, then it went downhill on, for instance, Muravanka. So, yeah, I mean, great. I mean, you can't argue, though. Utopia played it really well. They knew what they had to do. They knew they had to slow Tornado Rocks down, not use that individual ability, not let them use that individual ability, and then just play standard Muravanka. And there was no option there where Tornado could just go all in and, you know, get what they love to do, those brawls.
And actually, it's quite smart. And I'm wondering if they can apply that to other maps. Some lend a little more to Utopia's playstyle, where you do have to take the brawls. You know, you look at maps like, I guess, Cliff, you could argue, is certainly a map that encourages those sort of brawls to come into play. But that aside, what is the next map we're going to be seeing?
We're going to move on to Himmelsdorf city map. So, yeah, it's good to see. I mean, to be honest, the teams are starting to like Himmelsdorf. We had a lot of Ruhenberg and Himmelsdorf from previous season, but it's great to see. I mean, like, Himmelsdorf's the only map which has basically been in the WGL since day one. It's one of the first maps put in the game, and definitely a fan favorite. At one point, we were like, yeah, it's a bit unbalanced because of the defender side is too good. And we're like, yeah, should we remove it, teams? Like, we don't think it's a particularly balanced map. And the teams were like, we're going to kill you if you remove this map. We love playing it. So, obviously, the balance changes came in, and now, to be honest, it's super even, like 50-50 straight down the middle on the attack and defense wins.
It's very impressive, and I love the adaptation you can get on this map now. Considering it was such a, you know, almost an over-rehearsed map, right? You saw everything it could bring in that previous game mode. There was so little left to be discovered, and yet you changed the game mode to some degree, and we're seeing so much more coming through from this map, and it always refreshes me to be able to see that. And I think you guys at home always love getting to watch Himmelsdorf because it's something that everyone knows and everyone enjoys. But of course, you guys have been voting at home. Melly, how are those votes going, by the way? Just very quickly, are they still, you know, pretty in favour to Tornado Rocks, or have we seen a couple more people starting to favour Utopia?
No, it's still stuck on 65% for Tornado Rocks. I think it will shift throughout the next 2 rounds because you have time until the 4th round is over, and as soon as we head into the 5th round, the vote will be closed. So, but it's always a smart idea to get involved as early as possible because we reward the 3 fastest correct predictions, which can happen in the first few seconds.
It could do. Someone could just get it right just by sheer luck itself. But now you guys have had a little bit of a glimpse into the game, of course. Now's your perfect time to get into those votes and really try and get those points if you want to get them. But still, the teams are almost prepared, so we can get ourselves focused in on this one. Ollie, can I get a prediction from you on this? Who do you think's got this one in the bag?
Well, you have to say, I mean, Tornado Rocks is part of that band of brothers of the Russian-speaking teams who just unbeatable on these kind of maps on Himmelsdorf.
Well, it is literally their castle on occasion. If you look at any CIS region, they generally do so well on this map. I don't know why, but it always seemed to be them at the very forefront. Kazna even struggling on occasion to keep up towards those CIS giants on this one. Always a firm homestead. But let's look at the lineups as well. Anything standing out to you at this point that maybe grabs your attention, or is this pretty much standard by now?
We've got tank destroyers, as you'd expect on Himmelsoft, T110E3, played by Mucka. Obviously, they're on the defensive side. Papa Pavian playing the Waffenträger Alpha E100, a tank we've seen, you know, as we've gone through the season, a lot more of, and definitely one of the harder tanks to play, but super powerful. I mean, you can do basically 4k damage, upwards of 4k damage in a matter of seconds, and it's truly a formidable beast. It can turn the tides in a split second, and we've got a T110E4, which is what Dido really loves to play on this map, for whatever reason, on the side of Tornado Rocks. Now, Tornado's taken that hill with T110. The FE215Bs are up the banana, and I'm not sure. I think the eastern side is obviously where they're going. As well, Utopia have got the western side.
Yeah, so almost split right down the middle. You'd see it in the previous game, I was split the other way, but now you're going to see it from, well, west to east pretty much at this point, and we're going to be seeing these guys trying to find a way in, an avenue of attack, especially for Tornado Rocks. But I like this. Utopia taking some aggressive stance, taking some map control, not giving up every free corner and just saying, okay guys, well, we'll sit back and leave you to do whatever you please. This is them taking a little bit and, you know, not giving stuff up, and we'll could have a shot down here if you fancy it down the G line. Positive is down the other side though. And to be fair, Positive has a lot of backup. Now, it looks like they're looking maybe to move off those hills, as the Armageddon already starting to roll towards the northern side in that 1390. So, trying to get a little bit of information as Money and Papa not quite watching that cross at the very moment. There is a 1390, of course, in the hands of McMoney. He played it before, managed to catch out Diodor in the artillery if you throw your minds back to that previous map. So, curious to see if this one pays off here, but it's still a very slow approach from Tornado Rocks, and once again, Utopia causing them to slow down. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it's great. I mean, Utopia know what works against Tornado right now, and we could try to get some shots against put to Positive. Now, the Armageddon just gets destroyed. One shot from Papa Pavian. I think that was a pretty low roll, and one shot from McMoney in the AMX 1390. So, yeah, Tornado trying to spot out, trying to see where Utopia are. Now, I'm pretty surprised they didn't just go for the engagement, because the Waffenträger is just not a good hull-down tank. It's very easy to penetrate the turret with HE. So maybe they just want to go against the brawl. They want to get up close and personal against Utopia, go for that western side. Diodor has been spotted, so the jig is up. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be tricky though. I mean, Waffenträger Alpha E100 is already relocating up into A1. So Utopia have to try and weather the storm of FE215Bs at the early stage.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy though. Of course, these players are incredibly good. The one thing we noted was the fact that Utopia managed to negate what Tornado Rocks normally are known for, as those individual skills. They were able to play around and not allow them those big, vast engagements. They made them work for every single kill that they got was a hard-fought pickup. However, Tornado Rocks this time going to find Shuku. He's already going to be in a little bit of trouble here. He is relatively on his own, and you can see this 2-2 split possibly going to come a little bit in towards the front door here of Utopia, as they are still so hell-bent on keeping that western side in their hands.
Yeah, for sure. They are just going to be staying there. Shuku there in the IS-7. And, you know, he is side-scraping, but not sure exactly where he got penetrated, maybe on the back of that engine bay. But, you know, I'd say Utopia have the advantage if Tornado Rocks do decide to go for that western side. They're static. They have the first shots. They can do the first bits of damage. So that's going to be good. And Tornado still have the 50B on the hill. So maybe they're just hoping that Utopia go for some sort of knee-jerk reaction, push across the middle, where obviously that 50B can start to work its magic. But to me, you know, Lucikel going on reload and starting to head down that hill, he's going to join up with the rest of his team for an assault.
So, it's time for Tornado Rocks to have to start pulling everyone into place, create this little bit of a spearhead and try and break in towards Utopia. But Utopia are doing good damage considering they are relatively spread out throughout this western side across, you know, from the 1 to 3 line. You know, they're still creating these lovely little crossfires and these lines of focus that they really do want to keep underhand. Now, Shuku going to be the one tucking himself in, being the kind of tasty morsel of bait. and making the boys of Tornado Rocks really have to fight for these corners. They can't take him on without exposing themselves to the other members of the team, and he can just hold this back line as much as he'd like. He may eventually go down. He might trade out in the end, but he'll get a lot of damage and set the rest of his team up so perfectly to do a little bit more if they do commit across this K line, which it looks like they might just do. Let's see how much Shukyu can do. He peers out, shows his presence, forces them to once again reconsider their options. He's buying so much time.
They haven't been spotted though. That's the thing. Shukyu's not really aware of how many tanks of Tornado are there. I mean, 5 tanks sitting in that position. And they are starting to push forwards. Of course, Dido going first. So, I mean, Shukyu's going to be a big pain in the side.
And here we go. This is a brawl that you'd be worried about. You do not like to fight Tornado Rocks like this. If the crossfires can hold up from Utopia, it will be perfect, but they're not. The Annihilator sweeps Shukyu aside. But there's Bishu, there's McMoney, and there's a little more damage to fall to the back. But so far, Tornado Rocks are holding on. FC Dynamo does go a little bit lower, but so far the HP is in Utopia's court. Can Positive turn this one around? He's on the split. He's looking to do damage towards the likes of Wilk, but Bishu still causing trouble. And so far, Tornado Rocks are not getting the engagements they want.
No, they're not. They're really just being taken out, let's be honest. I mean, the crossfire was there all along from Utopia. The Waffendrager managed to do great damage, and even with those high HP poor FE215Bs, they really didn't have much of a chance. No two ways about it. And Utopia, 2k ahead in terms of hit points almost. Positive going forwards. Dido does find Bishu though, so at least the numbers are all even, and it's going to be good news, but McMoney does get taken low.
Yeah, Positive with a nice little snap then towards McMoney, and McMoney's trying to do some work here, but Positive's just smiling at this point, but he knows he's in a bit of trouble now, as Desh's turret will turn its attention there, but maybe it can cause a little bit of a distraction to a degree. But Positive, again, being caught out, just hanging a little bit too far out the back then, but waiting for a chance to maybe do some more damage, or at least keep the attention of those 2 tanks, make it 3, excuse me, in that position to move around. Positive again takes another shot. Deals one over towards Will.
Oh, nice shot. Straight
This
through the
guy
building.
he's playing so well. The snap towards McMoney was already impressive, let alone him finding another one. One more shot to make. I can't imagine they'll allow him to be able to do much more damage at this point, but I've got to say, even though Utopia did come out well in that initial move, their HP has been worked down by that point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Tornado Rocks has started to get control of this game. Utopia is still 1,000 hit points ahead, though. But I would say, Tornado Rocks have that southern side under control. They've kind of forced Utopia back, but Positive on his own. Desha's going to be able to find him nicely, and that's given the advantage back to Utopia now. I mean, Tornado have to get themselves kind of consolidate a little bit, try and push forwards, but Mucker is in the perfect position there in the T110E3, just being the kind of wall which Tornado will always have to deal with. The MX-3090 will be able to flank from behind. The Waffendrager and support, even with 2 shells, will be able to take down, for instance, Diodor or SC Dynamo. So, yeah, it's going well for Utopia, I'd say.
Let's see if it keeps going that well, though. I do worry, as now Vorsic and Diodor looking for options, but Mooka's been holding this so well. He's been in this sort of spot, as is Desha as well, but again, no one getting these connections. This is becoming a bit of a stalemate. And finally, Lucic does find Wilk, which does weaken that western front, but they still have so many tanks in this spot. They're down to 4 though, Utopia. They need to start being a little bit more cautious here. But look at the time. We're down to the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, for sure. And, Tornado Rocks only has 1 minute and 20 seconds to try and cap or kill all the tanks from Utopia. I think capping's probably out of the question, considering the positions of Tornado and Utopia. And that last 1.5 minutes for Tornado was fantastic. They managed to get the HP back. Desha's now a 2-shot. Vorsa can easily get him down. Mucker's now bounced 2 shots in that T110E3, and that's 750 damage per shot. 1,500 damage that should have been done, and Diodor's not making the same mistake.
Vorsic, though, didn't land his shot. Now, it does buy more time. That's what you've got to keep in mind here. It's not just about these kills, it's about timing. 50 seconds left. Now, Vorsic, shell just didn't connect. Mooka is still buying time. He's being a pest. He's being a nuisance. He can just sit in. McMoney on the cover, though, takes down Diodor. Now, Mooka still waiting for a shell. Look at the fire coming in from the back lines. Vorsic does find Mooka, but while this happens, McMoney pumping out damage, and he's in such a good spot. He cannot be hunted down here. Tornado Rocks are the one with the time limit. Now, Papa, if he can just keep himself alive a couple more seconds, he'll finally be spotted out, but it will take time to take him down. 20 seconds left, and the cap is becoming almost a 0 null and void point. He's found, but McMoney, that 1390 is going to save the day.
Yeah, I mean, McMoney was playing a risky game by peeking and shooting when he didn't really have to. But yeah, that's the thing on Himmelsdorf. you can spend so long trying to break down the defense of the other team, kill the other big tanks. You just lose sight of what's really important. That's the little cheeky McMoney on the hill, who hasn't had a particularly great season. But as you can see, the defenders just have to wait until that 10-minute countdown goes down to 0. And if all their tanks are still alive, or even if one tank with 1 HP is still alive, they do win the game. So yeah, fantastic work by Tornado Rocks and by Utopia. And Tornado tried to fight back in that match a lot, but clearly didn't work out.
Yeah, the swing and roundabout in that game was the initial damage and the initial move kind of went into the hands of Utopia. It denied what Tornado Rocks like to do. That we all know by now is they love those engagements, they love those brawls, and when they get them, they succeed.
Yeah.
Now, it looks like Utopia going, screw that. We don't let them even get into a chance of being able to get. They kind of got it, though, around the 5-4 minute marker when they finally got that HP back. They were able to find these fights. But at the start, the crossfire was brilliant from Utopia.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was great. You had the Shuku and the IS-7 on the side, which basically, is only about half HP, but they basically managed to take down a tank from Tornado at the beginning. And then, it started going all Utopia's way, but then Tornado just fought back really well. Volsic having a fantastic game there in the FE215B. Dido was a beast there in the T110E4 as well. And I think that was Lucic on the flank there in the AMX50B who managed to go up the 8 line. I think Utopia had no idea he would be going up there. And you can see the result there. 4.5k damage coming out from that man. And his partner in crime, Dido, just behind with 4.1.
Really impressive stuff. And even more impressive, the fact that it wasn't enough to turn the tide of the outcome. Of course, that 1390 just about keeping itself alive with money.
2,000 hit points that 1390 did. Good stuff.
Really, really nice stuff. Very impressive from him, to be fair. And as you said, he hasn't had the best of seasons, McMoney.
No.
A player that before you'd say, had a lot of possibility and a lot of potential to be quite a big impact factor, but he kind of, shined away from the light, or stepped away from the light, should I say. But nice to see a little bit of resurgence for what that man can achieve. But still, with 3-0 up now,
yeah, it's starting to run away here.
This is the thing. It's like, okay, 2-0, okay, they're good at one map. Cool.
Yeah.
Tornado Rocks just weren't warmed up. When it starts getting to 3, you start going, well, that's kind of worrying now because one good map on one good side and you're basically on match point. It's kind of worrying. Now, they had a plan on Himmelsdorf. Now, do you think they can do it again on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, Himmelsdorf is still, easy to play on the defensive side slightly. Obviously, it's pretty 50-50 though, but looking at this lineup, double 113, of course, 113 got a little bit of a buff in 9.13, ironically. So those have been picked up. Fantastic small little Chinese tank, which is just an absolute beast. It's more of a medium. I don't see what the point of the 110 is if that tank exists. FE215Bs, 50Bs, and AMX 1390, which really had no factor play by the Armageddon in the previous round for Tornado Rocks. Of course, the switcheroo happens. Utopia now on the attack and Tornado Rocks on the defense. And Tornado without any tank destroyer. Interesting.
That's kind of curious. We'll see if that may hinder them down the line. Let's be really honest here. There's curious selections throughout. However, let's focus in on the game as we are live into this one. And it will be Utopia this time on the attack, of course. Tornado Rocks on the defending side. So time is now in towards Tornado Rocks' hands. They can sit that 1390 somewhere if they really, really want to. But I doubt it will come to that, as we know what these guys are like. But a very quick peek from money, and it's cost him almost his life there. Does get a great deal of information, but I feel a little bit heavy-handed on the peak then.
Well, I mean, that information is... Oh, Lucic just got absolutely cancelled out. I didn't even see what happened there.
Where was he?
The observer's clearly not seeing it either. That was so quick. I think he was caught in between the houses and the TV.
We forgive you.
Let's find his wreck. I mean, we can see what happened if we find his wreck. Behind you, I think. Somewhere behind.
I love how you can see the observers like searching like...
There he is. Got caught between two houses.
The cross.
The TVPs are there. And the thing is, those TVPs have 1.5 seconds between shots. So they can track you and they can perma-track you in no time at all. And Lucic, that's just, that's crushing.
That absolutely sucks. I'd be so angry at that, if I'm honest. I'd be purely livid by that point. But still, it's...
Oh, man, the whole play was great, though. I mean, McMoney goes forwards to get the spot.
To bait it, almost.
To get the spot. He goes forwards, exactly, to bait it. The RU-251 goes around the corner. The whole of Tornado Rocks just stops in their tracks to try and kill him without realizing that Utopia has the 8-line completely locked down and they managed to get the shot. So, yeah, I mean, the 50B is a fast tank, but it's not fast enough just to immediately get out of an awkward position like that.
That's... That is brilliant to see. I like plans like that. I like pre-made plans like that where they've sat there and gone, okay, let's practice this. Let's see if this works. Let's see if we can catch someone out with it. And it did. And the rarity you see something be able to kind of be executed to that degree is quite an anomaly. But still, that has given them the upper hand to begin with. But we know that Tornado Rocks can bring things back even. They did in the last match.
Yeah. Or
even the last round even. So it's certainly still possible. And they have a great deal of pressure towards the north now. But money there again with Bishu. The cap has been tentatively started, but certainly not going to be the end game here for Utopia.
No, I mean, well, Tornado Rocks will probably do the classic push down the B line around the corner on the cap, and to be honest, could work out because of the positions from Utopia. The TVPs on the GH area are not really in the right position to do anything, and that will of course give Tornado Rocks a massive advantage with the 50B and AMX 3090 on the hill and the FE215Bs along the A line. So Tornado will push in, will get the resets, or the AMX 3090's 50B will get the resets from behind, and might actually be able to swing the match back in their favor.
It could do. And you can see that kind of pincer movement coming in, kind of forcing Utopia to be a little surrounded on this point. They've got to be careful, and you can see the retraction coming in from the other boys down that A line. They know that the action is needed towards the north here at this point. They're going to be all pushing their way up here. And Armageddon looking for someone, not going to find anything, just kind of bolstering the numbers here. Bishu in between a rock and a hard place as well. No easy avenue of attack here for Utopia, I feel.
No, I mean, the obvious one would just be to try and push off the hill with the TVPs, so you can take down Diador and the MX 3090 because they committed all the way down that ramp. Makes it basically impossible to get back up it. So I would go for that. Keep my other tanks in defensive position. Obviously, the time is still okay for Utopia. They can still on 6 minutes and 10 seconds, so they've got plenty of time to play around with. They have to be a little bit concerned about Bishu because he's kind of on his own, and when Wicked gets spotted, the 50B and the MX 3090 will just push down, kill Bishu, and then potentially go safe because the Annihilator, Dynamo, and Positive are there in the background. So, yeah, Bishu's a bit of a problem.
It's all about the favourable trading here, and if they can get it into their favour. They've already played well. You know, Utopia are playing to the way that you kind of expected them to exploit the weaknesses. Whether or not Tornado Rocks are aware of that is going to be the next thing. Can they see what Utopia might bring? Can they predict what's going to go on here? Because already Puppet's going to be playing it relatively cautiously to a degree here, as we are going to be seeing Bishu being made in towards, and this is prior to the move even coming out. Look at it, and there, a real clean pickup. Armageddon takes a bit of damage off the back, but is still alive and kicking. Diador going to push Papa back. Armageddon doesn't get the shot he wanted on the way through, but still Diador going back in for more, misses it, and now has to retract through. But while that happens, Diador's on reload, and look at this, Wilk is going to have free range over this one. One shot comes in, but Money's there to support, doesn't get the damage done, but here comes the fold. Papa is now surrounded, but the damage, the HP is so evenly spread here, but the positioning looking a little bit better off for Tornado Rocks, closing in towards Muka. He has got tanks left, right, and center, but Money's a little late to the party here. The Armageddon's going to take a bit of a chunk down, but Muka is in real trouble, and he's a one shot away. Shuku's going to be covering him off towards Diador, but Money finds Armageddon, but this is still so close.
It's so close. I mean, 4 versus 4 situation. Both teams pretty close in terms of hit points, but I like the fact that Tornado Rocks are as a kind of block together. Daybell goes down the IS-7, so suddenly now in favor of Tornado Rocks. They have the tanks, they have the HP.
They do, but will they use it? They love these brawls. They thrive in these sort of situations. They pulled themselves together. And now you can see Utopia trying to do the same, trying to find a way to kind of gather their forces, put everything they have into one place. And Shuku did have the initial shot on that one, just doesn't get the connection towards the Annihilator. And now with 3 shells left, he has to make the most of this. He has the most HP here, and well, the most to lose by this point. Vorsing is a little low, but not enough to write home about. His Shuku now knows he can't back up too far. Takes one shot on the fly real quick here, but now knows he's in trouble. Burning alive again. This has been one of those days for these players, as now surrounding on both fronts. Shuku goes down, and with that, it does for the vast majority seem like the hope for Utopia in this round. The 3 tanks remaining have so much HP to play with.
Yeah, they do, and McMoney's going to be the penultimate tank to fall here as Wicked on his own in their TVP, and you know that TVP is great for pushing situations, I mean, for sure, but when you're in an overmatch like that, you only do 1.3k with those 4 shells, and that really doesn't do much to those bigger, heavier tanks. You have to basically use 2 clips to kill an FE215B. But I mean, fantastic work there from Tornado Rocks. I mean, they pushed off the hill at the right time. There's AMX 3090 50B just pushing down, taking down Bishu, getting the overmatch, linking up with his FE215Bs, and then just surging in to take down the 113 and those TVPs. Bit late to the party basically, and yeah, I mean, Tornado Rocks just have perfect prediction game.
Yeah, it was really well read from them. By the time you could see the counterattack coming in, these two did great. They got the damage towards Dido, but by that point already Bishu had fallen down, and you saw, as you mentioned, Tornado Rocks creating that squadron, just rolling round together, creating so much damage, and now you see the real come into it. Because look at it, Dido's there, the Armageddon's there, all coming together, and now Muka, as soon as he falls, they have all the tanks in the right places at the right time.
Exactly, it's just great linking, great coordination, timing is on point, and I mean, we're 4 rounds in now, and finally we get to see a Tornado that's playing well, so that's good to see. Obviously that's Himmelsdorf over. 1-1 scoreline, Prokhorovka up next. Completely different map than we've already seen today from these two teams, so for me, I mean, this is where Tornado Rocks can potentially start to claw back these rounds. I mean, open map, high skill, coordination, it's all about Tornado there.
It should be. It really should be. On paper, this is their domain. Now, 3-1 being the scoreline, Melly, people at home must be scratching their heads right now because still, even though, it was a 1-1 on the previous map, that 2-0 prior to it is still keeping it in towards Utopia's hands. What are they thinking of this?
Well, first of all, the vote is still stuck at 65%. It's not broken. I've checked. I've seen it jump on 66% at some point, but it's now back on 65. So people are not really sure where to put their money on. That this shows in this very stable voting result, which is very unusual since we know it always starts with a huge shift to one side, evens up a little. But if it's a clean sweep, it of course goes higher on this regarding side, but this time they're stuck on 65%. They have their 35% lane on Utopia and their 65% on Tornado Rocks, and well, I'm very excited to see if this is going to be a comeback, to be honest.
Well, you and me both. I as we said though, this is the point. This map really does play to the hands of Tornado Rocks. It's very hard to stop them playing to the ideal style that they like here. So I think that's a big point. I think that's what people are banking on, is these last couple of maps being far more to their style than what we've been able to see Utopia play. But then again, I don't know. I still think this is very much up in the air in my eyes. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I mean, it could go both ways, but of course, I would just say, Utopia's playing very well. I think the biggest thing for them is they lost that last round with a tier 10 tank advantage, and that's going to play mentally on them, I think.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how much it plays on towards them. Of course, we are just waiting for this one to start up. But a prediction from you, Ollie?
Papa Pavion's playing artillery. It's going to be interesting. I would say Tornado with this map here.
Okay.
3-3.
So you're going to say it's going to go all even, and then maybe decide. All right. So you can see the lineups now coming out, or at least the tank picks for Prokhorovka here. And I'm very interested. Artillery being picked up, I don't...
It's such a gamble on this map.
It really is. It can pay off massively, but then they also have to contain Tornado Rocks.
Yeah, it's such a big map. I mean, if you're playing a smaller map where you can get the alleys, like we've seen the M40, M43 on Ghost Town, because you can just get a straight line and it's only going to be shooting 300-400 meter. But Prokhorovka, 1,000 by 1,000 meters of just open fields. Yeah, you have to really be insane to hit some of those shots, and especially against these medium tanks, which are undoubtedly going to be picked from both teams.
Yeah, we're going to have to see some nutty plays coming out.
Nutty plays.
Nutty plays.
Never heard that before.
I don't know where I just thought that one from.
That's great.
It's just a nutty play. But let's see what they come into this with, because anyway, refreshing your memories, it will be Tornado Rocks on the attack this time and Utopia on the defending side. So they're going to place that artillery down somewhere hopefully nice and safe, and they can get some shots off, but it is going to be hard work here. It's certainly not going to be a gift into this one. Tornado Rocks with a curious approach already.
Yeah, sending their T110E5 towards the right, or through the middle even. The Lucic and the RU251 towards the right side on that hill. TVP down south, and the rest of the tanks towards that western side. So, I mean, RU251 is a given. You want to be getting the hill, and we've seen, for instance, when Tornado played against Kazner on this map, it worked out very well for them. It basically caught Kazner unawares, and Lucic was actually the highest damage he did for his team there. And 60% win ratio overall on this map. They are certainly good at it. And T110 in the middle, probably just to pressure that cap number 1 or cap number 2, just keep control of that middle area, which is the most important place in Prokhorovka, and the rest of them behind, just in case Utopia pushes over the middle and tries to get some sort of brawl.
Okay. So plenty of options for both sides, really, and you can see the intent as you perfectly kind of explained to us here from at least one of the sides and how we can see it implemented. But, you know, I'm still surprised that Tornado Rocks aren't being mildly more aggressive as Melly just breaking the studio. I'm going to call you out, Melly. Like that. That's what I'm here for.
Would you just calm down a little bit and
She's
stop
getting a bit
breaking stuff?
rowdy. She's getting a bit nutty, all right?
Pipe down.
I don't know what she's up to. She's
Just accumulated all the sugar and food over Christmas and just letting all that energy out onto the studio.
all the sugar cubes that are meant for horses, she's actually been nicking and just eating them at home, just chilling out with them.
It's great to see a horse eat some sugar cubes. It's the most funny thing in the world.
It's horrible. It looks weird.
You got weird lips.
I don't like horses. They're kicky creatures. They kick and they bite. It's kind of like Melly. She kicks and bites. It's a perfect summary.
Well, she punches as well, but you know.
Yeah, she does punches, but only horses.
Exactly.
Only like bites and kicks humans. It's a weird thing to do. Anyway, focusing on the game Melly aside, as she does just, you know, I can't believe she said that to us on the way out. It's really rude of her. I heard that. We have had a very slow start to this game while we get back on point. 0 damage dealt, 0 damage done, couple of shots made, nothing connecting. This is a very passive start from Tornado Rocks.
Yeah.
And I'm really wondering why. Like, I kind of get it, but also kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, those TVPs and those medium tanks have just been sitting back in a cluster.
Chilling out.
Chilling out, 100%. I guess it's, you know, Utopia really defensive, just setting their heavier tanks forwards, trying to get some peaks of the artillery. Yeah. And Tornado Rocks has not been taking that bait. Obviously, the main focus of Utopia is over towards that cap number 2. So good read there from Tornado to go towards that western side. And they'll just be putting up Lucic in cap number 1. But of course, again, with that artillery piece, capping does become very hard, especially with a very big splash of the M40. And Shuku in a sneaky bush, which I haven't seen a player be in for a very long time, is going to be able to spot basically everything which goes on that western side for the praying, clicking fingers of Papa Pavian.
You can already see those shells coming in, and got to be cautious on this one. A lot of damage can come out. We saw just in the last couple of games how imperative artillery can be and what a difference it can make. And already a couple of shells coming through positive on the receiving end of 1, but we sent packing off that. And they have been spotted to some degree, but I want to see how Utopia respond as well, because they do have control of the eastern side, but that only works really to the hands of the artillery. They still need to keep some presence and some turrets turned towards that cap 1, but it looks like they're going to be reinforcing slightly towards the further south, maybe expecting this rotate off the back.
Exactly, they are getting control. I mean, they saw that Tornado Rocks is going up north, so they get control of the hill, they get control of the middle a little bit more than they had, and that's really worked out well for them. Positive does manage to get back down. I mean, the thing is, if Shuku does get spotted, it's going to be very, very bad news for Utopia. There's not really anywhere he can hide. I mean, sure, he can stay safe for a while, but he's locked in that position. He can't move, and that's almost always a bad thing in World Tanks. So that's interesting. I mean, he hasn't got camo net, so it's obviously, you know, not the best supported tank in the world. But you've got to remember this as well. Bush provides camo bigger than itself, so it's kind of like a 50-meter radius, something like that.
And Lucic is desperate to find out where he is. They put shots in towards the bush towards the right, but now he's been spotted. He's in real trouble. He's going to be traded out here now. They've lost to 251, probably for that bat share. Now, whether or not it's a good trade, we're yet to see. We'll have to see how this one ends up. Does more damage coming towards one side? Can Shuku get out? He's going to just try and put it down, wait it out, get some damage done. He knows he's in trouble. He's in the dire straits. Positive will pick it up.
How the hell did he live so long?
I don't know. But it did mean they got some more damage towards Positive there. So a little bit came back even on the 1-for-1 trade. Tornado Rocks still have the HP advantage to some degree, but you know, it's not great trading, and they're still on the attack here.
Yeah, but I mean, they took out a Batchat, which is, you know, pretty good. I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, Shuku, that position was insane from him. That bush should not have protected him as much as it did. I mean, they had to get pretty much within the 50-meter default spot, where if you're in 50 meters of any tank, you get spotted regardless. And yeah, I mean, Batchat's out. I guess that's kind of opened up cap number 1, so you can see the Object 140 is piling in there. That's FC Dynamo playing that one, and so the pressure has started now. I mean, Tornado Rocks have the advantage. Forbidden can't really peek too much, as you can see as Vorsic just takes him down. I guess he'd already used that repair kit.
Individual errors maybe starting to plague Utopia, but FC Dynamo's gone and been caught up there. I don't know if he got spotted out. I think he did to a degree here, but Dido's going to be moving in as well. And these guys are going to start looking to add some more pressure here. Tornado Rocks, once they see that you know, their opponents wounded and a little bit and bleeding a touch. They certainly want to add insult to injury at this point, and they do start making their move. Dido's going to go on the peak here from the very far south. Should be able to get maybe 1 or 2 shells off here, but does get some brilliant fire coming in from Mooka and the boys. Lovely turret turn, denying the opening that was possibly going to play Utopia and keeping the tanks in that more central position by Cat 2 safe.
Yeah, and Positive is getting spotted, so I'm curious to see what artillery is going to have effect. And as I say that, SC Dynamo just gets chunked down, 624 HP just carved off him by the M40, M43. So that's great, and you know that's kind of opened up the possibility of Utopia to just push around and get the decap. And I think Tornado Rocks is very much aware of that and have started to push it.
Yeah, here comes the push. They want to make the most of this. They want to be able to pressure these guys, get Papa out of this situation. As soon as they do, things get a margin easier for them. But the Annihilator and Positive will have to crest, they'll have to peek, they'll have to make the plays. They need to make them feel uncomfortable here, but that crossfire is holding strong. Mooka doing the, doing the Lord's work by this point in those back lines, but he's going to be in a bit of a predicament soon enough, and they have to keep eyes on that reload as the cap is continuing to go on and on. Now, Papa just playing it safe, trying to be cautious, trying to be careful, try not give away the game at this point. 30 seconds, he still needs to be focusing on possibly stopping that cap if it comes to it, but you can see Tornado Rocks are moving closer and closer. They want to get the pressure on, they know they have the numbers here, they know that they can play this game, they know artillery can't play the close game here, and there comes a shell. Now they know they can make a move off the back of this. FC Dynamo has very little HP, but enough to keep that cap going. Now, when will they push? You can see the counter push. Oh my word, and look at this, Utopia just going to make the play off the back of it. Desha's moved out. Mooka's gone and got mad. He's gone and played straight over the line here. I don't know what on earth they're thinking, but it's paid off. Will picks up the kill towards the Annihilator and is looking for more. They're down in numbers, but they're picking up these kills. Positive, a little low here, but the cap has been halted. Wilk is going to be trading this one out, but Desha finds Vorsen. They are not going down without a fight. Dido finds Wilk, but it's still a 3v4, and the HP is so low. If Papa can find one shot here, it would be perfect, but it may be a little bit too much to ask as Dido finds Desha, and now Mooka and Papa are left with very little time.
Utopia just pushed out across the middle and just took so much damage. I did like that push at the end, but the fact that Positive managed to survive it, endure it, was just a bad play there for Utopia. And if he did go down, it could be a different story. But this is where the artillery doesn't really favour your team at all. Papa Pavian just going to get spotted. He's in a great position, to be fair, where he can kind of shoot everywhere, but he's pretty hard to find. And Mooka, yeah, he's been in the back lines. He kind of scampered across, but I don't think he's going to be able to provide much. And Papa has been spotted. The cap is still underway. I guess the only thing which Utopia has really going for them is that time. I mean, 45 seconds left on the clock.
Go clutch or go home, Papa. This is your moment. You've got to do it. You've got to wait it out perfectly and not shoot too early on. Mooka is trying to cover him for Positive, but now is the time to shoot. He's got one shell to make, and he has to make it soon. 7 seconds left. There is the shot. Dido is moving around. Positive does pick him up, and the shell is nowhere to be seen at this point. The cap will continue, and that missed by a long way here as Tornado Rocks will close it down.
Yeah, Dido and SC Dynamo were hiding behind that rock, which is the most logical place to be because they didn't want to get spotted, and they didn't want the TVP or Papa just to pop across and get a reset. So I think Papa probably went for the wrong blind shot there, but I mean, it's gamble at the end of the day. It should never really be in that position anyway. Yeah. So, I mean, so many brawls and exchanges. Obviously, Shuku going down for Lucid Killer, tier 10 for a tier 8 exchange. But then, for instance, Positive received a lot of damage as well. But the fact that they managed to get that cap under control and, for long enough that it forced Utopia to push across the middle and up north, and they managed to obviously endure through that. It was really the downfall of Utopia.
But I have to give credit to Utopia to some degree to take the initiative and actually do the counter push, because some teams will just roll over by that point and go, oh well. But at least they tried to push the marker, and obviously, as you said, Positive staying alive, as long as he did then, just really hindered everything. It meant that if he was left standing, the artillery's vulnerable, and all the pieces suddenly fall apart in this lovely chain of dominoes that they had building up. But still, a good performance coming out there, at least in my eyes, from Utopia. Not enough to net them the victory, but enough to keep maybe, the opponents, Tornado Rocks, a little humble in this one. It's still in the hands of Utopia on paper, to a degree. If you look at the scoreline, it is their game to possibly close down on. But so far, this play coming back in from Tornado Rocks has been, second to none. They've been playing very well from the first couple of rounds. Yeah, they have. They've been getting better for sure. Coming from a deficit in that round, coming from a deficit in the previous round, definitely good news. Prokhorovka not particularly attack or defense biased, and you can see it was a good all-round performance, I have to say, from both teams. But
Vorsic does manage to come away with the MVP there by 19 damage points. But yeah, solid all around. Desha and that IS-4 surviving for so long in the middle. Good work from him. And yeah, I mean, pretty even though in terms of damage from all players.
It really was just kind of split across the board. You can literally see it there for, you know, every couple of Tornado Rocks players. There's your Utopia players. It wasn't necessarily the biggest individual performance, you know, that just decided anything. You know, the teams played well, and at the end of the day, Tornado Rocks played better as a collective. It's simple as that. Now, of course, we do have another go at this one. Now, you know, that very passive start still kind of leaves me a little bit questioning what that was, but I'm sure maybe down the line we can ask them. But do you reckon we'll see something similar from Utopia, quite a slow beginning, or do you think they're going to be a little bit more decisive?
Yeah.
How do you think it's going to go on
I mean, we haven't seen an aggressive beginning in any of these rounds, basically, at all between these two teams. So maybe it's time just for a classic Prokhorovka brawl in the middle. And I guess for Utopia, that could spell the end for them because, let's be honest, that's where Tornado Rocks seem to be getting their wins.
True.
So I think Utopia probably would be best if they try and avoid that a little bit.
I tend to agree. We've seen more often than not, once obviously Tornado Rocks gets to those brawling levels, they do become a bit of a different beast. You know, they step ahead, they leap and skip ahead of where they should be. But this is a really good comeback from them so far. Whether or not they can keep their cool is yet to be seen. Of course, we are waiting for the teams to get themselves ready to go back into this one. And as you can see, the lineups are locked in.
Whoa. Dudes. Object 263s.
Why is there 3 of them?
Don't question, Lauren.
Sorry.
Don't question these things.
Why is it with
believe.
Polish teams on this map with stacked out tanks?
I don't know. I mean, there's at one point in World of Tanks where 742, I think it was, we were just experimenting with tank destroyers on this map, and like they seemed to work for a bit, and then they just went horribly wrong and didn't work at all in most games. So, I mean, the Object 263, it's a beast, the highest DPM of any tank in the game. That 590 gun is insane, and penetration's insane, reload is insane, so it can really punish. But at the end of the day, it's a tank destroyer, so it's awkward as hell.
Awkward as hell. is defining. Why is it floating? There we go.
There seems to be a disconnect.
Yes, I feel that was a bit of a problem there. So
I feel like we're the problem.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel like we're the problem here
We are
because
issues. I feel as though tanks don't often fly.
My internet has gone down. There was a point in World of Tanks where I think it was before physics, where there wasn't any physics. So
tanks could possibly
there was
fly.
like bound, you know, like you have to have, when you don't have physics in a game, you can't use nature as boundaries. So you have to put like lines where
Literal
tanks
lines,
can't cross.
yeah.
So at one point, you know, there's Lakeville, you have that massive mountain in the middle. You just drive up it in like sheer
Just
vertical.
straight,
It was the most crazy thing. You should check it out on YouTube. I think it was one of the Lakeville was the first map in the game. So it was it was just hilarious. It's great.
I'd love to see a throwback to that. If any of you would like to find that for us and send it to us on Twitter, do go ahead. While we try and resolve these issues, of course. We don't know if you can even hear us right now.
No idea.
Maybe you can. Maybe you can't. I might start swearing and find out if I get fired, because then you could.
It's a great idea, Lauren. You should try that. Go
Bucket. No.
Bucket. Great.
Mainly looked at me like I was just like, oh, no!
Oh, no, you didn't.
Said bucket, thank you. Professional. But yeah, we are just waiting on the observers to be able to rejoin. Once we can, things will get back underway. And once again, we do apologise. You know, it is what it is.
Log
The
back
internet.
in again.
What can you do? But all will be well soon, and we'll be back underway. You guys can just spam chat and tell me that I'm going to be fired. Kappa123, please, guys. Keep Melly busy. Kappa123, any dank memes that you've heard of? Always appreciative.
Recently, any kind of Christmas dank memes you want to put
Christmas memes. To be fair, I was missing out because I only had my phone to browse Reddit on when I was back home, and my phone is absolutely awful. So it was just like loading up little like picture by picture, like this better be a good meme. Bring me your memes, but don't make memes of us as Melly.
Go to the internet cafe to go and watch memes. That's next
just to look at Reddit. That is my life. That is really sad, but something that might have happened.
Yeah.
I didn't actually go to one. There are no internet cafes near me, which is quite depressing.
I don't think there's any internet cafes in the world anymore. It's kind of an old
there
thing.
must be some.
There are in Turkey, like a lot.
Yeah?
It's a bit of a shame because that's where I started gaming, really.
Yeah.
In Turkey?
No, not really.
You flew all the way
Yeah, I
just
used
to
to
chill
live
out.
in Turkey. I
No,
speak
you
I
Turkish,
used to
too,
live
me
in
too.
Turkey.
We used to skate in Cologne, and then when we had enough of skating, we just went down the road for an internet cafe. I
Nice.
sat down, played a few rounds Counter-Strike at this time.
It's pretty cool.
Then went back to skating.
It's
Nice.
It's a good childhood, though.
Did the same. I always played a little bit of Quake. Always went to play Quake when I was out with I was down the skate park with my friends. We didn't skate. We sat around drinking lemonade and stuff. But as kids do, we were young and stupid, and we thought it was being very cool. And then, of course, we'd go and play Quake for a little bit. And my friend got WoW at home.
Oh, I wasn't
That was
allowed
a
on the
game
computer
changer.
till I was 15. 14.
Really?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
did-
why you've now gone hard at it? Like, I want everything to do
I
with
honestly
it.
think that because the few times I used to be going to my mate's house, I would see a computer game, I'd be like, wow, this is insane.
Oh.
And I think that's probably why I'm here right now.
I
If I
didn't
look
have
back.
broadband internet until I was 16.
No, I had to carry the packets to the server normally.
So
That's
that's
where
just
my
English
internet
was.
internet these days,
And
to be fair.
I think
my
TalkTalks
Sweet
provides a
16
similar
party
service
was
these
a
days.
LAN party.
Aww.
30 people. It was
Nice,
amazing.
you had
Wow.
friends.
You don't have
Sorry.
30 friends anymore, do you?
She
you
has
get for
friends
punching
now
people.
instead.
It was
Horses.
weird. It got weird at some point when people, completely strangers, called me. I've heard you're doing LAN parties. Can we join your next one?
No!
Who's spreading
And that's how
data?
DreamHack came about.
Melly could have been DreamHack. That's
been.
today I
It
learned.
I don't want to miss those times. It was awesome.
Yeah,
That was
sounds good.
No, but guys, we are still working on the issues. It seems that they are being resolved as we speak, so it should be back underway
Everyone's
very soon.
back online.
Yay! The
good.
internet didn't die. God, imagine if the internet just stopped.
Did you not see that South Park episode where that happened?
No?
The internet stopped working. And
I
they
did see that
camp out.
episode.
It was the best episode ever made.
Let's maybe not go into some of the finer details of that
Definitely
episode.
not.
Definitely not.
No.
But
Sure, people know what we're talking about.
well, if I'm not going to be fired today, you are. So one of the two. We like to
50-50.
we like to take risks here.
No.
You got to risk it for a
We're
biscuit.
very... I don't know what I'm going to say.
God, I
I'm
don't
not
know.
going to go
No,
anywhere.
there's nothing good that can come
No,
out of
there's
this.
no point.
We need to
No
stop
edgy
talking.
stuff. No more edgy stuff.
No, 6 edgy 5 million. Where are these players? Come on, rejoin.
No, we're waiting for Wicked and Mucker just to call them out.
Okay.
We're moving on to Ruinberg.
What happened in the last
I
round?
don't know.
Okay.
So, yeah, Prokhorovka, that last round, that went in favor of Tornado Rocks without losing a single tank. The Annihilator did 3,183 damage.
Okay.
So, yeah, those tank destroyers didn't do anything. Mucker did 0 damage.
Nice.
Wicked did 0 damage. And the top damage was Shuku with 4.4k, also in a tank destroyer. So, as you can see, are they great or terrible? Maybe
Yeah,
1 was a good idea, 3 was probably
Yeah,
pushing
maybe a
it.
little too far.
Yeah.
They went all EPS on tank destroyers, just stacked them out on Prokhorovka for no reason. So 3-3, as said, all equal, all tied up. And apologies, guys, for missing that one out. I'll take personal blame for breaking the internet on that one. Not sure what I did, but I will accept it and be punished thoroughly, I can imagine. But I do believe that players are almost back with us and we can get underway in Ruinberg. But it is a 3-3 as we speak. So the kind of... rejoicing, I can imagine, from any fans of Tornado Rocks will be happening right now as there is a game back on, but we could be going to a tiebreaker at this rate as it is Ruinberg.
Yeah, I mean, I'd not been a fan of Tornado on this map. I think the last time they played it, they lost both the attack and defense.
Yep.
66% win ratio, though, so they've done well since then, but 33% attack. Still very biased towards the attacking side, defensive side, even with about 70% win ratio this season across the board. Utopia, I mean, I've seen them try to innovate, like try and go north-south split kind of thing with a tank in the middle and IS-4 or something, but in general, not been too impressed. You can see, though, well, they've won 100% of their rounds of 4 rounds played, so they've done well, I guess, this season on this map. They've always been that kind of heavier lineup team. But 350Bs, 2 Object 140s, TVP, T54 lightweight for Utopia, FE215Bs, T62s, Waffentrag, which is interesting, and that classic T54E1 from Tornado. They always seem to bring that tank on this map on the defense.
Yeah, I want to remind myself where they like to place it, because it is something, as you said, that is a common pickup for them and something that they do only, well, not necessarily only on this map, but very specifically they do like to play it here. So we are live into this one once again, ladies and gents. Apologies for missing out on that previous round of Prokhorovka, but we will be keeping our eyes set to this one on Ruinberg. Utopia on 3 rounds, Tornado Rocks on 3 rounds, and on the attack it will be Utopia. So in blue, going to have to bring the game here, as McMoney's going to place himself probably down towards maybe like keeping eyes on that one line, but no one's, sorry, the 0 line, excuse me, but no one's really making a mad dash for it yet, only Vorsin on his own. Yeah,
Volsic just on his own, just going forwards. He might get caught out here. He's been spotted but so has the push there from Utopia. And McMoney on his own, obviously in a T54, the tier 8 probably won't have a great chance, but Utopia just going hell for leather.
Yeah, they are not messing around. They are just going to commit right off the back of this. Try and maybe catch Tornado Rocks off guard a touch. I don't know. This is kind of insane here. They are going to go straight in on this one. Wilk, Muka. I'm amazed that all of these guys are going for this. And Vorsic is being absolutely hammered here. One more shell will do the job, and he is gone. The MX-50B going to be paying dividend by this point, but a little bit of damage coming back, but what an advantage to begin with, and they don't look like they want to stop. No,
that's a great advantage. Just be honest here, Tornado Rocks didn't do anything to really counter the fact that the T62A was taken down. They are trying to claw something back now, though.
Yeah, they're trying to give it some, but Armageddon right in between a rock and a hard place, and Bishu is going to remind him of that hard place as he does go down, and this is a good start from Utopia, especially on the attacking side, but can they close down the game? I just don't know here at this point. It's going to be still quite difficult. Shukyu's been pressured by Lucic down by that sort of central area, and now suddenly we're going to see Tornado Rocks with a chance to pull this one back. Yeah,
they are starting to claw themselves to some sort of comeback here. The HP's in their favor, and I feel like Utopia have had such a big advantage but not really pushed it forwards. They had a pretty good window, and that's allowed Tornado Rocks to start doing some damage of their own.
Yeah, certainly, here we go. The Annihilator finds Bishu, so avenging his fallen teammate, and now the 4 remaining players from Utopia kind of being bullied and broken by this point. As you can see, the closing coming out. Didor's a little low here, but no one able to get the line of sight towards him and get the damage done, and Money's in the back lines, but a little too far away to really make any sort of presence. They need to start getting this damage done because Tornado Rocks are doing the work, but look how low they're going here. Didor, FC Dynamo, both low, but it doesn't matter. Muka and Desha fall, and now the 3 remaining players have to pull their socks up here. McMoney going in for the shot here, but Positive finds Wilk, and we're down to 2 for Utopia. This is still possible, but it's certainly not going to be easy.
It's going to be really hard. I mean, SC Dino one shot, Didor one shot. McMoney, though, has been such a great player this whole matchup. He's starting to do some good damage of his own, finding one. Can he find another?
He's going to find 3 very soon here. That MX-50B is going to be put to the test, and he gets a big fat failure on that one. McMoney now the last man standing. It's a matter of time. Utopia fought hard and bravely, but still, the Annihilator lives up to the name, and Tornado Rocks bring another round back on the board.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, taking down that T62A, getting towards that eastern village, getting safe, and then just not doing anything with their advantage. They even managed to take down an FE215B. They had 2 tier 10 in their favor, and they still didn't win. I mean, McMoney should have been more aggressive against the FE215B sitting behind the house. I feel Utopia should have just gone around the corners, not gone for those exchanges, and the peaks, just gone straight around and use those 2 tier tank advantages to win the brawls. And we saw Tornado in a similar situation where they'd lost a tier 10 tank and then come back, and that's now twice.
I feel that almost Utopia are a little too nervous to take a brawl with them, even though they had every advantage in that situation to take it. They had the tanks up. Sure, maybe a couple of their tanks were a little low because they had to commit for it, but so what? Sacrifice them if you have to. But at the end of the day, they just seem a little hesitant to take those brawls, even though that would have actually paid off for them. But look at this. Positive, again. Beast. Big performance from him.
Didor, man, in a T30. I mean, we don't see the T30 at all, basically, and one of my favorite tanks, 2,844 damage, great stuff. And he basically didn't miss anything as well.
No, you're absolutely right. In comparison to the others, I guess, if you look across the board. But again, though, these players over on towards Utopia are not playing badly. It was a very close game. Even maybe towards the end, it was a bit of a closer for Tornado Rocks, but early to mid-game, it was certainly still in the hands of the Utopia guys, but you can see right in the slap bang middle of the table, people like McMoney, I still feel could have been more engaged into that fight far earlier on.
Yeah, and I'm not exactly sure what Shuku did, but he only managed to get 1.5 clips out. He was kind of on his own. I think it was Didor in the T54E1 who just came around the corner and took him out. But he was just out of the game, and I think that's probably the beginning of where Utopia started to lose that round. So yeah, I mean, 4-3 match point here for Tornado Rocks, moving on to the attack on Ruinberg. So obviously a slight disadvantage in that favor. But we're talking about a round which Utopia could have potentially won and didn't, and that might just be the nail in the coffin for them.
It's certainly going to be playing on your mind, isn't it? You'd be so frustrated at that going, we had an advantage on Ruinberg attack after losing, 3 rounds in a row almost. We had a chance to win this game. And now, not so much. Sure, they are on the favourable side here, let's bear in mind. They're going to get in to go onto defence, which is arguably one of the most one-sided maps to a degree. But still, I don't know. I just hope that they don't let their mentality slip. They can still take it in towards a tiebreaker and do some work there. It obviously reduce the points they can get. It's no clean win anymore, but they have to hope for something at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they just need to play round by round. They just need to be, getting it back. If they win this round, they've at least put 1 point on the board, and against Tornado Rocks, that's definitely not something you can sneer your nose at. They're a top team for sure. And, a lot of people are like, hey, Tornado is like the super team. We've never seen a team like this coming together since Na'Vi. Na'Vi like a team which, from the red, everyone remembers that, that clan on the Russian server. They took the best 7 players from that team, from that clan out of 100 players, and made a team which has basically been unbeaten since. Obviously, they've had a couple of shaky tournaments in Continental and WCA, but yeah, they've been insane. And this has happened now in Tornado, where you have like players from teams on the Russian server, players from the teams from the European server, all coming together to make this an insane team. And to be honest, they haven't really lived up to expectations so far.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? You get a team of superstars, you get the ego of superstars, you get the clashing personalities of superstars. That is a big lineup of Utopia breaking up the mouse.
Again.
They like this tank. I'm not going to sneer at it because it worked last time, but kind of curious as to how it's going to work this time. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, it is just that house that just kind of moves around the map, but still, we are live into this one, and let's see if the superstar team that people have kind of given that title to can step up to the plate. They will be on the attacking side, the hard side, the near on impossible side at sometimes on this one, and Utopia on the defense, having to lock it down, but after the severe losses they suffered, it could be a tough one for them to stay motivated. Yeah,
I mean, Utopia, before, when they used the mouse on this map, they just put it in the middle, and it just, caused so much focus from the other teams to try and shoot at it. It really didn't, the rest of the team just managed to do great damage. Now, Papa does take 749 at the start. Obviously, that mouse got spotted straight across the middle of the map, and this Object 140 stack with a Batcher just pushing straight across, and I've got control of that eastern side. This is a pretty standard tactic from Tornado.
Yeah, this is their aggressive brawl style as well coming into play, but a great deal of damage being dealt. Shukyu right at the front of things, just having to bear the brunt of everything that's being thrown at them. Now, good damage towards Tornado Rocks initially, but there will be the counterplay coming out from them very soon, and Utopia already suffering on HP severely.
Yeah, they are. They've really taken a beating there, especially the 50Bs. Lucic in that E50 as well, and great cancels out straight away. Mucka and Shukyu fall.
They need to find these, they need to pick up these tanks now, Utopia. There is no two ways about it. They have to get some of the guns out of the game because Dido's still alive, still kicking, still doing damage. FC Dynamo's found Will, but look at it. Finally he falls, but Money has to come in to save the day, but this is a real dire display from Utopia in my eyes. This is almost over. Lucic is having his way with them. Everywhere he goes, literally being bullied and broken from corner to corner as when Money gets run over by FC Dynamo, and the mouse is certainly not going to scurry anywhere at this rate, as Desha just has to stare down those turrets, just picking them apart one by one. Too many angles to cover off by himself. And the mouse, sure, it could have stayed alive. It has sustained, but by this point, it has so much to do.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the mouse is great if you decide to focus on it, as I said. But the thing is, Tornado Rocks just completely ignored it. And they said, okay, you're going to go up north, we're going to go to the east. As long as we don't go across this middle road you can see in front of you, the mouse can't shoot at you, and you're okay, you're golden. They just simply did that, and the mouse tried to push across the middle, try to get into a position, but it's so slow. It's kind of soft ground, so it just couldn't get there in time. And yeah, if the mouse was in that eastern village, it could be a different story. You would have had that mouse in front instead of the 50Bs. You can absorb a lot of damage there, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't, and that is enough for Tornado Rocks to close this one down. Essentially, let's remind ourselves that was a massive round for them, and they did enough. And you got to feel for Utopia in a way because they had that game in their hands. Yeah,
for sure. They were 2-0 up after that first map, Muravanka. So, I didn't expect that at all. I thought, okay, maybe they got a couple of good maps because we went on Himmelsdorf. They won that first round, so they were 3-0. But then we had that one round, which I think is probably the turning point, where they took down Lucic in that 50B. So they had a tier 10 tank advantage without losing any HP, and they still lost the game. And I was like, oh, that's going to be game over. That's Utopia folding right now.
Yeah, the tilt is real on that one, because you'll be so frustrated because you had that not in the bag necessarily, but that is a game you should win. That's you losing. It's not them winning. It's you giving that victory up. And look at this. As soon as you become into this last battle, what a different picture. Normally you see at least 3 players in the top, 7 here coming out in the post-game stats prior. This time, Daisha barely there and Money barely there. And those two just kind of traded out on the first couple of shots.
And great to see the Waffentrug Aufpanzer 4 being taken. It's not a tank we've seen a lot of this season. T9 German tank destroyer. It's pretty hard to play, but it's obviously worked out very well. Good DPM. And 2.8k from Armageddon, who hasn't had the best match, is definitely a good way to end it for him.
Yeah, really nice little closer for him. But still, that is the second game of the day now done. We have one more to come out today, and that will be Oops up against Penta. But before we get there, we need to recap how many of you are right and how many of you are wrong. How you changed your minds after you saw those first couple of rounds. You're like, It's got to happen. Utopia's going to win, and then suddenly you're like, no, it didn't happen. Melly, how many people are going to be annoyed at this one, or do you think they always had faith in Tornado Rocks?
Oh, well, I mean, the internet hiccup just completely destroyed everything on my screen.
Oh.
But
Bam,
yes,
bam, bam.
if I reckon right, it was 64% for
It was around
Tornado.
that, yeah.
Yeah, so...
People held their nerve to some small degree. They
Absolutely.
didn't.
It shifted in the very last second to 1% point below. Congratulations. But well. Oh yeah, the next match.
It's going to be good. Penta against Oops. That's going to be a fun one, I can imagine. Oops, not having the best of times all the way through.
But doing great video content.
They've had a good season, I have to say. They've been inconsistent at some points, but I mean, they're what, 3rd?
I do keep forgetting they're actually third.
Yeah,
but they're still ahead of Tornado Rocks.
Yeah. And Penta, 8th, after losing against KB in their first match. But then again, like Penta hasn't played that many rounds. I think they played 2 matches as well, because they got kind of like a pardon because of WCA, like they were playing 754. So we haven't seen much of Penta, and a fan favorite, and definitely one of the teams I enjoy watching the most.
Well, they were tipped last season to be ones to come into this one and be like, okay, now we've got to keep eyes, because they had a couple of roster changes here and there. Well, actually, quite a few roster changes. And everyone's like, well, they've got a lot of potential. We saw they can bring a lot of
second last season. That's great stuff.
Yeah, exactly. They have so much potential, but we haven't seen them in this season just yet. We haven't seen them have the full run of what they can achieve, and I think this is a good starting point. So guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be back after a very short break with the final game of the day.